There's a moment that hits you, not loudly, but with weight. You're listening to interviews, watching old footage, hearing the cadence of the greats. LeBron, Kobe, Michael Jordan, Stephen Curry, Goggins, even outliers like Gary Vee. And you realize this isn't about talent. It's not even about time. It's about how little else they allowed into the frame. They didn't just focus, they isolated. They structured their entire life around one pursuit and said no to everything else. Not because those other things weren't valuable, but because their mission was too sacred to be shared casually. If you study them long enough, you will see it. The greatest in any field share something deeper than talent. They live in rhythm with their craft. Kobe's 4 a.m. workouts, Jordan's obsession with the edges, Stephen's impossible repetition, Goggins running through pain no one else would tolerate, Gary Vee trading convenience for 18-hour days that feed a legacy. They weren't chasing balance. They were embracing extremes because greatness, real, undeniable, history-shaping greatness, is not an accident. It's a consequence of choosing the path most people avoid. You hear the word discipline, you think of structure, routine, control, but for those people, discipline wasn't about restriction. It was about reverence. It was devotion, a sacred ritual, a way of saying, this matters more than my comfort today. They weren't trying to be machines, they were trying to become masters. And mastery requires repetition. Repetition requires boredom. And boredom, that's where most people quit. But the greats stayed, not because they loved it every day, but because they loved what it built. What they don't tell you is how lonely it feels to say no to the party, to miss wedding, to skip vacation, to decline the spontaneous hang. Not because you can't, not because you don't care, but because you care too much. People don't understand. They think you're cold, robotic, obsessed. And maybe you are, but obsession has always been the engine of mastery. And isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. You're not avoiding life, you're constructing a new one. Here's the hardest part. You will have to say no to good things, to people you love, to moments that look beautiful, to things that make you feel alive. Not because they're wrong to you, but because they don't align right now. You will say no to relationships, no to comfort, no to the version of yourself that settles. Not out of cruelty, out of clarity. Because the deeper the vision, the narrower the path. You're not choosing isolation as punishment, you're choosing it as discipline. This is the part most people misunderstand. They will call it selfish, and in some ways it is. You're not choosing to give your time, energy, and attention to one thing, not many. But selfishness in this season is not greed, it's protection. You're protecting the seed of something sacred, of something fragile, or something that could grow into legacy. If you don't keep yanking it out of the soil to show people it's still alive, sometimes you have to be selfish to become selfless later. Obsession is often framed as unhealthy, but when it's chosen and channeled, it becomes a laboratory for excellence. It sharpens your instincts, it burns away distractions, it reveals what matters. Cope said it best. I made a decision early on. I sacrificed everything for this game, and I don't regret it. R.I.P. Kobe. Fuck, man. Because what he built was bigger than basketball. It was a standard, a blueprint, a transmission to the next generation. And that doesn't happen without obsession. Everyone loves to talk about balance, work, life, social, rest, fun, focus. But here's what most people won't say. Balance and greatness rarely coexist. Because balance serves stability and greatness demands chaos, repetition, failure, boredom, sweat, hours no one sees. You're not here for perfect symmetry. You're here for impact. And impact comes from depth, not distribution. You don't get there by being 10% in 10 directions. You get there by being 100% in one. When you remove distraction, what remains is space, but space can become chaos unless you give it structure. The greats didn't just train, they trained intelligently, with rhythm, with feedback, with systems. The days were designed like temples, not cluttered with options, but carved with intention. Structure isn't restriction, it's a sanctuary to focus, for focus to breathe, to breath. When you devote your life to something, it simplifies you. Not in a way that makes you small, but in a way that makes you sharp. Fewer choices, fewer distractions, fewer questions. Just one path, one rhythm, one purpose. It becomes spiritual because you're not just working on a craft, the craft is working on you. It's shaping your nervous system, refining your presence, stripping away everything that isn't aligned with where you're going. Greatness doesn't happen in fresh air, it happens in a pressure cooker. In the tight, lonely, disciplined space where no one's watching and you still show up. It's the reps when no one will applaud. It's the rejection you metabolize into resilience. It's the hours when everyone else rests and you choose to refine. Pleasure doesn't crush you, it purifies you. During this phase, people might think you're off track. They will say you've changed, that you're distant, too intense, too focused. They won't understand the isolation they won't understand that isolation isn't confusion, it's alignment. That silence isn't absence, it's a signal. That pulling away isn't punishment, it's precision. Let them misunderstand. Your clarity doesn't require their comprehension. There comes a moment when you stop trying to explain your process. You stop justifying your discipline. You stop apologizing for your focus. You stop softening your commitment just to make others comfortable. And in that stillness, you begin to sharpen. You learn to sit with discomfort, not to numb it, but to mine it. You let the silence stretch. You let the distance stay because your life is built not for approval, but for alignment. The difference is simple. A lifestyle looks good. A legacy leaves something behind. And if you're training for legacy, it won't always look pretty. It won't always be aesthetic. It won't always be shareable. But it will be real. It will be yours, and it will matter long after the moment passes. That's the difference between trending and timeless. Isolation is not just subtraction, it's transformation. The more you strip away, the more you become a vessel for truth, for mastery, for transmission. You're not just building a skill, you're becoming a container capable of holding power without being overwhelmed by it. You're not doing this just for you. You're doing this for those who will one day say, because of you, I didn't quit. Here's the truth. Greatness requires sacrifices, but it doesn't require suffering. Pain, yes. Effort, yes. Loneliness, often. But not self-pity, because when you know why you're sacrificing, you don't resent it. You respect it. You start to see what others call hardship as the sharpening of your edge. This isn't punishment, it's preparation. There will be long stretches where no one seizes you, no recognition, no praise, no spotlight, just repetition, just the process, just you and the work. And in the darkness, you will find your discipline. You will meet your resistance. You will find your pace. The shadows aren't empty, they're sacred. That's where the greats are made. Most people live in a loop of casual effort. Start, pause, Distract, justify, repeat. They get just close enough to improve, to feel better, but not close enough to transform. You have to break that loop. That means doing things you don't feel like doing consistently. That means training when it's inconvenient. That means resting with discipline, not indulgence. You break the loop by breaking the cycle of compromise. Convenience is the enemy of growth. The rewards the now, it softens the edge. It says you've earned it even when you haven't. The path to greatness is paved with deliberate inconvenience. Waking up early, turning down the easy yes, repeating the boring thing because mastery lives in boredom. The decline of convenience is the rise of capability. To go deep, you must build walls, not to shut people out, but to keep your energy in. Walls that protect your time, your vision, your recovery, your rituals. People may not like them, they may push against them. But remember, your boundaries aren't for them, they're for you. And without walls, your focus leaks. It's never one moment, it's the accumulation of everything, of every yes you shouldn't have given, every later that became never, every compromise that seemed small until it became a habit. Greatness isn't built on grand gestures. It's built on micro choices repeated with intention. You don't need more motivation, you need more moments of clarity. And when clarity leads, discipline follows. Training isn't just physical, the reps you do in your head, how you talk to yourself, what you believe you're capable of, what you visualize and when no one's watching. Those reps matter. That's what makes Goggins different. What made Kobe brutal in his focus, what made Gary Vee operate like a machine with heart. They trained the mind to hold pressure and return to purpose. Mental conditioning is the foundation. Everything else stands out. There will be days where resistance shouts louder than purpose. You will hear, just this once, you've earned a break. You're missing out. But you will learn resistance is just a test. And every time you choose practice over pleasure, focus over frenzy, rest over indulgence, you prove to yourself that you are no longer available for mediocrity. Let this be clear. Let this be clear. If you truly dedicate yourself, you will be misunderstood. People will project, assume, doubt, mock. Let them. You don't need to explain your evolution. To those still attached to your older version, you're not doing this for validation. You're doing this for transformation. And not everyone will come with you. And that's okay. Greatness doesn't ask if you're interested. It asks if you're willing to isolate, to focus, to miss out, to disappoint others, to let go of the normal life. So you can build a meaningful one. It demands time, energy, sacrifice, relentless honesty. It doesn't want you someday. It wants you right now. They don't all use the same language, but they carry the same truth. That depth beats variety, that repetition creates freedom, that obsession is love discussed as structure, that isolation isn't a punishment, it's a place to meet yourself. And most of all, they show us that greatness isn't found, it's forged in sweat, in silence, in self-mastery. This is a season, a window, a sacred stretch of time where your energy must be guarded like gold. You will reconnect, you will remerge, you will come back stronger. But now you must go inward. You must give yourself permission to choose obsession over obligation. To the version of you who stayed disciplined when no one was watching, thank you. To the one who said no, who trained anyway, who rested with intention, who studied while others scrolled, thank you. Because of you, there will be something to look back on that no one else could have built. only you. This isn't sacrifice, it's alignment. You're not giving something up, you're choosing what matters. You're trading temporary pleasure for permanent strength. You're choosing long-term impact over short-term dopamine. You're building a life that echoes, and that is never a loss. The vision you carry, it's a flame. And in the early stages, it flickers. Wind from other people's opinions, the chill of self-doubt, the rain of resistance. They all try to put it out. But if you protect it with rhythm, with silence, with fierce boundaries, that small flame becomes unshakable. The world doesn't need more people who dabbled into their purpose. It needs people who go all in. People who disappear for a while and come back transformed. People who choose silence not to escape, but to build. People who embody the truth so deeply it shifts those around them. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to begin again on purpose. Every day, choose the craft, choose the training, choose the solitude, choose the flame. Say no to that. Say no to what isn't aligned. Say yes to what calls you deeper. You're not behind, you're just early. In the season that most people skip, but this is the season that builds legends. So I had a voice note that I was speaking about how there to become greatness, because like I would listen to a lot of Kobe and LeBron James and a lot of other greatness of the greatness like Muhammad Ali and things like that. And there's just was such a obsession. And it's just when you listen to the interviews, it's just like it throws you away to how obsessed they were over what they truly believe they are and they will become. So I had a voice note and I thought I'm going to make something that might remind you that not all of us has what it takes to be great. And this is what I feel it takes to be great. And it takes beyond the words I have spoken. So just want to go through the summary. So the greatest athletes and icons will choose isolation and focus over distraction. They weren't balanced, they were obsessed, and that's why they became great. Saying no to good things isn't selfish, it's how you protect your mission. Discipline equals devotion to your craft, even when it's hard or boring. You will be misunderstood, but legacy requires sacrifices. Greatness isn't built in public, it's built in silence, structure, and daily reps. And four actions that you can think about to take. So the first one is cut 3 distractions this week: social events, scrolling, unnecessary talks. Commit to daily practice. Pick one thing and show up for it every single day. Start with 30-day challenge or maybe like 22-week challenge. 30-day challenge is usually nice to do it. Write one sentence that reminds you why this season of focus matters. If you're willing to do what it takes to accomplish and help you achieve your desired reality. Be okay with saying no. You're not rude, you're committed. And people will always reflect and mirror their own insecurities or their own things that they wish they had that they don't have and you do. That's it. Thank you so much for listening.